Hi everybody, it's me, Doc again. So, we're going to be talking about installation of sights and the reflections on the PSA Dagger. So, for the intro, I'm going to say the exact same thing I just said again. Hey y'all, Doc Jones here. This is my week 3 submission covering striker fired reflections and iron sight installations on the PSA Dagger. So, my reflections. Looking back on this week's responses, I'd like to say I really wouldn't change much, but I would expand on a few of my answers now, understanding striker fired weapons a lot more. All right, it's a lot better than just presuming it's just a glorified slingshot attached to a nail, which honestly is a very creative way of putting it. But we're going to continue on. One thing I learned quick is how each component in a striker fire weapon plays its role in timing and safety. Like how the trigger bar, striker safety, and all of those parts tend to operate within pre-tension. When you start creeping that trigger, that striker is going to start building up that potential energy to then turn into kinetic energy instead of it just essentially just being already prepped and charged back, similar, unlike some bolt action rifles. Not all, but some. Um, if I had to do it all over again, I'd spend more time explaining how user error or dirt affects striker reset and ignition. Um, I used to think most malfunctions were essentially going into wear and tear on components and bad ammo, because hey, life experiences, right? But now looking into it, it's definitely obvious that, well, people are going to be a lot more stupid than people that are trained to not be as stupid, which you would be surprised how crazy people are. Going forward, I'll be studying more into OEM schematics, so going into those exploded, broken down parts. Also, utilizing gun disassembler to get a better look on things going on inside instead of it just being a mound of scrap parts. So, here's the PSA Dagger. Um, before, installa- before installation, oops, it appears I have put the actor image on the left. Well, let's pretend that sight's not there. And standard polymer sights. But, well, we upgraded to, the steel sights. You can even see on my left, right here, where I absolutely did not heed my own warning, and I went at it with a brass punch. I still have to go over and re-blue that area to ensure the fact that I don't get late stage rust or pitting on that part, but we're not here for that. So I use brass punches, a nylon hammer. I primarily use the brass side because ugh, big monkey marine brain. Um, and no sight pusher because, well, I'm not made of money like that. Now, for the front sight provided, I used the front sight little screwdriver tool that came with the front sight kit. My cat would like to say hello to everybody. Um, and a little bit of Loctite to make sure it stays there. I did not use the permanent Loctite because I might want to, I don't know, put a suppressor on this thing later, and I'm going to need higher sights if I get one of those big beefy ones. Otherwise, I'm going to put an RMR on there. If I want to cut that down and thread those holes, I'm still going to need higher sights to, go over the sight. English is weird. So, to center that sight after I drove it from right to left with the steel punch, or not steel punch, brass punch, I referenced off of the flat surface of the outer part of the slide, acknowledging the fact that PSA Dagger and Glocks have very symmetrical squared slides. It's not off kiltered or offside, lopsided, may have you. Referencing off of the same location allowed me to get as close of a measurement on the left and right hand side of the weapon so I could easily ballpark and get it close. Or, as I said later on in my description, the final pass was confirmed by a ruler and my Mark 1 eyeballs. Classic combo. Sometimes, if it looks right, it passes. Um, but not for sights because, hey, an inch is a mile. Now, that wraps it up. Thanks for watching, And thank you, SCI, for another solid module. Semper Fi. Doc's out.